Good morning, everybody out there in YouTube land. It is your buddy Choppadong once again coming at you with an episode of Chop Talk brought to you by DFSArmy.com, your one-stop shop for all things DFS. It is very hard to get up and excited this early in the morning, and I'm telling you, the way I load up my brain with a cup of coffee, if you're like me and you don't get that cup of coffee, boy, you forget to do that, you're going to forget everything all day long. So let's see what I have remembered and retained from glancing through this slate, because it may be some, it may be not much, but either way, I'm trying to get early slate notes out to you guys in a timely fashion so that you've got some time to utilize it before the slate kicks off today. And then we'll be back later for chin music and maybe another video for the VIPs before the night slates wrap, because this is proving to be a very, very efficient way to get information into the hands of the public and our VIPs. People are responding, they're subscribing to the channel, they're liking the posts, and they're also following and retweeting me out on Twitter, which is a big thank you to all of you guys for helping me spread the word. If you like this type of content, please keep it coming, because I will give you what you want. You are the people, you dictate where I go. Anyway, when it comes to the slate here in the two-game slate today, it's a very, very awkward thing. Two-game slates lead more towards theory, and really and truly anything goes, especially in a random game like baseball. Everybody's going to be looking for where's the right play, the correct play, the this play, the that play, and then they're going to wind up disappointed when something really, really weird happens. Like last night, I know it was a bigger slate, but let's say today, Carlos Gonzalez hits 2 home runs. If you don't have him on a two-game slate, you aren't going to do anything. Today is more about making a few lineups and about trying to capture the nut lineup. That's what you're trying to do. If you can find those big MME contests that allow lots and lots of lineups, that is your goal. Your goal is not necessarily to even win as a portfolio. I mean, that obviously helps, but it's really to search for the nut lineup and hit it, because otherwise you're going to be investing an awful lot of money in not getting back the return that you deserve. And that is what makes these two-game slates really, really hard. You need unique lineups. You need again to capture that one play, or if one happens, you need that one play that really goes nuts, and hopefully you have him in a lot of what you do. And sometimes he's very, very obscure. Things like these are day games after night games, so sometimes backup catchers, sometimes even pinch hitters. It wouldn't surprise me to see somebody take a shot on a pinch hitter, and that sounds really, really stupid for baseball, but I'm just telling you, on a two-game slate, just about anything goes. You might even consider semi-stacking against your pitcher. That's not crazy for a two-game slate. It sounds crazy, it sounds sacrilegious, but it works sometimes because you just don't have the options. Your goal is to take the best plays possible. So let's take a look at what we mean by that. When I'm looking, I'm not going to automatically go to Charlie Morton, although I suspect he's going to be very, very popular. I'm looking, at his K score here, and I see it's a 500, it's 506. There's a 430. Here's a good one here in Robbie Ray at 540, whatever. And Robbie Ray is significantly cheaper. I would think these two are the pitchers that we're looking for. But do you really want to take Robbie Ray against that Colorado offense right now? No, neither does anybody else. So that's why you won't just be taking one lineup. You'll take a few. You'll take some with Robbie Ray, some with Kyle Freeland, some with Charlie Morton, and oh no, Trevor Cahill's the guy left out. The guy who ends up winning the slate might have Cahill so that he can stack up Coors on both sides with Colorado and Arizona. So you're going to need to cover those bases yourself, and that's why you need to be making several lineups today. If you don't have the bankroll to get in, this isn't the kind of slate typically to play light and maybe throw a shot or two at. You can, if you want to track the action and sort of see where things go out and maybe have an idea of what people did and kind of test your own little theory of, was I right? Was this the popular play or not? Those kinds of things do work on this type of slate to help teach you the slate. But if you really want to go after this slate, you've got to go in at balls, guns a-blazing, and go get that nut lineup. Otherwise, you're just going to wind up disappointed most times. So tread with caution, use proper bankroll management, all things we teach inside DFSArmy.com. And let's talk a little bit of theory. If I was running Charlie Morton, I would definitely be interested in, I don't know about the Houston offense, but getting into Coors as much as I can. I don't know if I can. So when I look at the trends, I'm going to look for those Colorado bats and see if I can't find any cheaper bats and all the WOBAs are in play on a 2-game slate. I'm not cutting that thing down to 300 or anything because, again, this 195 guy might come back. You know, in fact, today might be the kind of day to go to dfsarmy.com, come down here to the starting lineups page, and open that up and take a look at who's maybe got a high X WOBA and who should maybe be hitting better and hope they come out of their funk on the day that you play them. But I mean, I would obviously be keying on guys, you know, like Cargo and Blackman and Story and whatever, but I would not be afraid at all to sprinkle in LeMahieu, Ionetta, if he gets the start. You know, these types of guys. Desmond has cooled off significantly, but sometimes these guys run into one, and you're going to need that to separate you. Today is a day to kind of get a little freaky. If you follow the lineups and find some of these guys down in here, and let's say all of a sudden, you know, Tony Wolters gets a start. That's if he's even in the majors. I really don't know that right now. But what I'm seeing is this 791 over 10 at bats. He will be a little bit lower owned if he's not scheduled to start, and then all of a sudden does if he's up in the majors. Again, that's why you guys have to do a little bit of the work. I'm showing you how to point out the numbers, but then you guys have to go and decipher the information. When I'm looking at Arizona, they're going to be popular because a lot of them are running really, really hot. Even though they had a bad night last night, that might help you because that might squelch a little bit of that ownership. That might tamp some of that down off of the games that they'd been having, and then all of a sudden you get them at a little bit better ownership so that you can get in there and hopefully catching them. They're not going to be held down for long if they're truly this hot. Now, if they've cooled off, then I mean, there's not much you can do. Again, 2-game slates are crapshoots, and you have to hit it. You have to hit it correctly. When I'm looking at, let's see, let's go back to the starting pitching page. I wouldn't be at all opposed to running Trevor Cahill today. Houston hasn't been all that great. I mean, they've been, you know, in stretches as a lineup though. I want to see how threatening they look. Couple of guys up top, Bregman and Altuve, and the rest of the guys, not a lot. Maybe a little bit of Reddick, but not a lot of threat. So if you want to play that narrative, you could say, I can run some Cahill maybe and get a chance at a sneaky win when everybody else runs Morton, and then I can maybe look at Oakland and go up against the Houston pitcher and see if any of these guys make sense. And 1, 2, 3 guys for sure. Maybe a fourth. Lowry we know has been good early on in the year. Chapman maybe he's got some power. So these are some plays that I might run. Again, you're trying to center yourself around a theory. Let's pick a pitcher and let's pick on a pitcher. And generally, let's try to pick on one of the pitchers that might be, you know, this is when I would say a pitcher being low owned is definitely worth taking because you really get a lot of leverage on the field when the other pitchers just do kind of okay and your guy just does kind of okay, but he is significantly cheaper than one of the chalkier pitchers. I would also say stacking against some of the chalk would work, but looks like a 3-pitcher race today. I don't think a lot of people are going to get into Coors, like I said before, but I do think you'll see some because, again, on a 2-game slate, you need to get a little freaky. That wouldn't be a bad way to go either. If you want to, somebody's going to take Freeland and they're going to bank on the fact that Arizona was cold last night, and somebody's not going to take Robbie Ray because they're afraid that Colorado's going to do what they did last night again. And really and truly, today's a new day. So these are that's where I center most of my foundations, where I center. And I'm not the best small slate player as far as a 2-game slate is concerned. So I'm just kind of trying to walk you through what my head would be thinking and where I would be trying to form my narratives. I would go into the Domination Station optimizer and I would start mixing and matching tons and tons of lineups. And I would see, you may take a balanced approach with, you know, 2 or 3 bats from every team. You may take a stacked approach and go 4x4. These are all theories that are in play, and this is an opportunity to get very, very creative. Let's take a look at that lineups page here really quick and see if it's even loaded up this morning. It looks like it is, and we'll see for high X WOBAs. Kana's got a huge X WOBA and a decent WOBA. So again, X WOBA is saying what he should be hitting. It's using StatCast data, and it shows what he should be carrying as far as a WOBA over the last 14 days, but in actuality, he's carrying a 100-point lower WOBA, which means he's due to get luck back on his side, which means he's going to potentially regress to that 444 that you're looking at. When I look at Jed Lowry, it's going the other way. His WOBA is a little bit higher than it should be theoretically. Now, 360 is still okay, still playable. They're both in play to me. When I look at bigger numbers, I'm looking for somebody whose WOBA maybe is really, really low. Yet now see like this one down here with Lucroy, he's only hitting an 0.55, but he should be hitting a 214. That doesn't really excite me much because a 214 is really, really low. But this is the kind of differential I'm looking for when I want to find a guy that the public might not be on, but we can get on a 2-game slate and maybe get a little bit lucky. So over here on the Houston side, maybe that's where we'll find some of these big differentials. George Springer, that wouldn't be bad. He's not a 225 WOBA guy. And so that might actually be more what I'm looking for. When I come down here to Josh Reddick, there's another one. 300-ish WOBA is a little low for him. He's more of a 400 type hitter. As far as WOBA is concerned, not batting average. There's a big one here in Kyle Tucker. I know nothing about Kyle Tucker, but you want to take a flyer on a guy? Go for it, man. It's a 2-game slate. If he gets the start today, then there you go. I'd be looking for Jake Marisnick to get in there too. And then down here in the second game, big differentials. So John Jay doesn't have a lot of ISO, doesn't have a lot of power, so that one kind of scares me a little bit. Nothing there, nothing there. There's a big one there in Souza. Steven Souza's not terrible. Most of these guys are running kind of close to where they quote unquote should be. Come over here to Colorado and I see some differential in LeMahieu. We know LeMahieu's coming back someday. He might be one of my targets today in a 2-game slate just to see if he doesn't right the ship on the day that I pick him. Ian Desmond's a little bit low in his last 2 weeks. He shouldn't even be hitting the ball that well. And Chris Iannetta, if he gets a start, would be definitely somebody that I'd be looking for with this big differential. So those are ways you can write these guys down, make notes, put them in your lineups. Also, go to that optimizer and maybe set max exposures at say 60% or something so that you don't get somebody in every lineup, because if you want to really, you don't know what's going to happen on a random slate like this, so you may spread yourself out enough that you're not that you've given yourself a chance for something to go crazy. And again, that's why you would take a bunch of lineups today, because you're looking to really cover as many combinations as you possibly can. There are 2 theories there. One, really spread out, lower your maximum exposure and really spread out with a lot of different player mixes, and the other one would be really tightened down and just sell out on a hardcore. And it's hard to do on a 2-game slate to really sell out on a hardcore, because you don't really want to run, say, Goldschmidt, Pollock, Souza in the same lineup 100 times. I mean, you could do that, but of course you're very boomer bust on a slate that somebody's going to hit it, and if it's not right in your face, it's not going to work out well for you. So I would opt more for spreading out. I wouldn't play cash. I'd play more GPPs or 100-man leagues, things like that. And I would try to spread out enough that I capture the 1 or 2 players that really have good games. And those are, and it may be on a low scoring, say both games go 3-2. It may be the one guy who hits a solo home run in a game that's a little bit lower owned. That may be the guy you had to have. So it can be very wide open in just about anything on a 2-game slate. If you guys want to talk more theory and you guys want to get a little bit more in depth, I can get you up to the fundamentals. I can tell you the basics. I can tell you the smarter ways to play these slates and play these games. But we have coaches inside DFS Army that are much better at the theory aspect and the game, the more or less the game plan, or kind of the attacking the slate angle, that they can help you with these types of slates a lot better than I can. I would be happy to pass you off to those guys and tell you who they are and get you talking to those guys, because quite honestly, that's my job as a coach inside the DFS Army, is to show you what I'm capable of doing and pull you up as far as I can, and then not be so egotistical that I can't hand you off to the next guy to take your game to the next level. That's what we do inside DFS Army all the time. We're constantly looking to make you a better player. We're pretty humble guys. We do have little hidden egos, but we're pretty humble guys that are always looking to focus on you and make you the best player that you can be, so that you can go out there and you can win some money too. So give us a try. The link is in the comments section today, and I'll be back tonight hopefully with another video to show our VIPs what to do with those smaller slates on the bigger overall picture in the main slate type games and the smaller slates within that slate. So I'm Choppadong. This is Chop Talk. We'll catch you when we catch you. Hopefully you got something out of this today. Hopefully you like and you subscribe to the channel and you keep the content rolling, because we want to keep giving you what it is you guys tell us that you want. Take care, guys. We'll see you later.